What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Pens and Tea. My name is Carrie, and today we're going to do a second look at this teeny little guy here. This is the pen that probably has the dullest name ever, the Platinum PTL5000. Or, no, PTL5000 A. Just such a dumb name. This guy is a no-frills pen. There's not much to it, but it works. Yeah, I had an ink thing. There's not much to this pen. It's completely like made of like just cheap resin. Not much to it. Kind of like gold trim all around it. This is obviously the black color. You know, gold trim at the bottom, gold trim at the top, around the cap band and the clip, which is pretty loose. But I mean, I suppose it'll still do its job. It is pretty thin. It's basically, if you've ever used like a Waterman hemisphere, it's that thin. It's not quite as thin as a pencil, but it's pretty darn close. So that'll kind of give you an idea of how thin it is. It is a snap cap, which is nice, and it has a pretty tough snap. Not like a Faber-Castell kind of tough, but it does definitely require a little bit of effort. It's not going to pop off by itself. It is a very, very light pen. This is one of the few that I do actually post. It posts quite deeply and securely, just to add a little bit of extra weight, and that to me is usable. The grip section is very, very long, so you probably won't have anything resting on that like very tiny step. But if you do, it's like shallow, so you're not really going to feel much. And then this is Platinum's 14 karat gold fine nib. This is the cheapest gold nib that you'll pretty much be able to find. And it writes pretty darn well. The pen body itself is basically a throwaway know nothing, but the nib does perform nicely. If you unscrew the body, it fits Platinum's proprietary cartridge converter. The body itself is solidly plastic. And to me, I think this is a misstep, having this metal screw-on section where like the body's going to screw into the grip section here. I wish that was plastic, because if it was, you could eyedropper convert this, but because it's metal, you can't. So I think that's a little bit of a misstep. But for the most part, for what it is, it's a pretty solid pen. Like I said, there's nothing to it, really. It's just a no-frills pen with a pretty great nib. It writes really well, pretty darn smooth. There's a little bit of tooth because it's a fine Japanese nib. But honestly, it surprised me, and I'm going to show you why. All right, so we got the quick brown fox jumps over to lazy dog. The ink for today is Robert Oster, Lake of Fire. And once again, we have the Platinum 14 karat gold fine nib. This nib writes pretty darn well. It's not an absolute gusher, but for being a fine nib, it's fairly wet. You do get really good line variation out of this, to be honest. Like, you definitely go from being a fine to like a Western medium. And this fine, I would say, is 100% accurate to a Japanese fine nib. If you are only used to Western fines, this is probably, I would almost even say, ever so slightly finer than an extra fine, because it's fine. A little too fine for me, to be honest. I have the Platinum Century 3776 fine, and it writes ever so slightly wider than this does, but that could also be because I have used the 3776 so many times. Like, just all of the time, basically, for years and years and years. So maybe just like with my heavy hand, I've widened the tines ever so slightly. So that's why it just seems a bit, but that's a possibility. That said though, this pen, I've never experienced hard starts, skipping, anything like that. I've had this pen many years now. And I've never had an issue with it. It is slightly drier on the upstroke than the downstroke. So sometimes you will get, because your pressure naturally like loosens, you can see here, you do get color variation on the way up. And because you can get, like with pressure, more ink down below, like with downstrokes, you do notice that. Especially with darker color inks, you're going to notice that shading difference. So if that bothers you, do not get this pen, because that's something that you can't fix. That is just a behavior of this pen. But it's a solid performer. Like I said, it's ever so slightly too fine for me, and the pen is a little bit too narrow for me. But I think it has a well-deserved place in the market. I super duper appreciate the price point of this pen, and I would really recommend it to people. So yeah, definitely check it out. Guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Hit that like button if you like this video. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet and you want to see more like it. New videos come out every Monday and Friday, and the occasional Q&A on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Guys, if you made it this far, thank you for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me and joining the fam. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye.